Hello everyone and welcome! Let's continue our trip through the Bilgewater stories. Last time we had a look at Nautilus, but this time we've got a story about the most annoying champion in League of Legends. Love him or hate him, it's time to have a look at Fizz. Again, quick reminder that I don't take any credit for the part that Riot narrated themselves. They did release the written version too, but I couldn't narrate it as well as they did. So without further ado, let's get on it. In ages past, the oceans of Runeterra were home to civilizations far older than those of the land. In the depths of what is now the Guardian Sea, a great city once stood. It was here that the Yordle Fizz made his home. He lived alongside the artisans and warriors of that proud noble race. Even though he was not one of them, they treated him as an equal, and his playful nature and told tales of adventures in the open sea made him welcome at any gathering. But the world was changing. The oceans were growing warmer, emboldening fierce predators to rise up from the deepest trenches. Other settlements had fallen silent, but the rulers of the great city could still not agree on how to deal with the threat. Fizz pledged to roam the seas in search of survivors, or anyone who knew what had happened. Then, one dark day, the Gigolodons came. These huge dragon sharks stunned their prey with fell shrieking, and the avenues of the great city were soon clouded red. Thousands died in a matter of hours, the immense bulk of their killers crushing towers and temples in a monstrous feeding frenzy. Sensing blood in the water, Fizz raced back, determined to join the fight and save the city. He was too late. There was nothing left of the city to save. When the debris finally settled, not a single living creature remained, nor any stone upon another, and the ravenous shoal had moved on. Alone in the cold depths, Fizz sank into mournful despair. As his Yordle magic began to fade, he let himself be carried by the currents, drifting in a catatonic torpor, dreaming away the millennia. It was only chance that reawakened him. A handful of copper coins fell from above, scattered in the seabed in a wake of a huge wooden fish that swam upon the surface. This was no Gigolodon, but Fizz was alarmed nonetheless. He knew little of the world overhead, but surely no fish could survive up there. He ventured up and peered into the salty air for the first time. There were people who lived outside of the water and sailed in wooden fish of all sizes. Fizz found the thought both frightening and exciting. But the curious gifts they cast into the water made it clear that they wanted to be his friends. In time, following their movements to and fro across the oceans, he came to the port city of Bilgewater. To the inhabitants of that lawless place, this strange slippery creature quickly became something of a legend. A tidal trickster, a spirit of the ocean itself. It is said that he can summon great beasts to do his bidding, hole a ship's hull with his stone trident, and breathe air or water as it suits him. Many misbehaving children had been warned on a moonless night. Go quickly to sleep or the trickster will come and feed you to the fishes. Fizz is good-natured but mischievous even for a Yordle, and delights in confounding the people of Bilgewater. The most seasoned fishermen know, just as the ocean may rise and fall, the tidal trickster is likely to lead them into wildless doldrums, as to an easy catch that would fill their nets. Even so, Fizz does not take kindly the greedy or selfish, and more than one haughty sea captain hoping to make a quick pile of silver has found that her mysterious guide has led her not to safety, but to shipwreck. Before we move on to the other part, I quickly want to address two things. At the beginning, it is mentioned that all of this is happening in what is now known as the Guardian Sea. From this, we can assume that the race Fizz was in contact with were the Marai, or in other words, Nami's people. Also, the story later mentions his Yordle magic running out. Thanks to the story of CZECH and Jinx, we know that Yordles hide their true identities with magic, because other races believe Yordles are highly dangerous. While CZECH and Heimerdinger transform into humans and run a shop in Piltover, or at least Heimerdinger does now. It seems that Fizz transformed into one of the Marai to stay with them. But again, since the race was never directly called out, it could be a brand new race as well. After all, we still know about the Seal Sister from Ornn's story. Maybe she has her own followers just like Volibear. Then again, the story never mentions that Fizz would hide who he really is. Maybe the Marai wouldn't even care that he is a Yordle. And in that case, I have no idea what that magic would be. But as of right now, the only Yordle magic we know about is the transformation. So take that for what it is. But now, let's continue with Riot's audio story.
Huh? Well, hello there, young'uns. Shouldn't you cheeky little sprats already be abed? What's that? You want a supper-time story from old one-legged Lars, eh? All right. Just one afore bed. Gather round. But I don't want to hear no crying or whimpering this time. This is Bilgewater, after all, and even our bedtime tales have more than a little darkness in them. Right. Now, you've heard of the Tidal Trickster, the little ocean sprite they call Fizz, ain't you? You have? Good. Well, this is a story about the time old Lars met him. What's that? Must have been fun. Well, what sort of stories you been told? No, it weren't fun, thank you very much. He's a malign little terror, that one, and you'll be lucky if you never cross paths with him in all your lives. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Right, so there I was, clinging to a rock out in the jagged straits. My ship was sunk. Don't matter how it happened, here's a tale for another night, maybe. But that's as it was. I clung to that rock for 3 days and nights, with fins a-circling. And just when I was starting to give up all hope, he appeared. All I seen at first were those 2 big round eyes, pale as death, as they swam towards me. Them circling sharks took off right away, and no mistake. They was afeard of him, see, just as you all should be. Closer, and closer, and closer he came. I don't mind admitting, I was scared. But it'd shoot off them hungry fishes, so I dove into the sea and started swimming for Bilgewater as quick as you like. But every time I looks back, he was there, with those big eyes just peering at me. I finally get to shore and thought I'd lost him, but how wrong old Lars was. I got a room in a flea-ridden flophouse down Rattown way, but it didn't take long for me to realise I weren't alone. What first clued me in was the creeping stink of seaweed and fish in my room. That and the little wet footprints on the stair when I woke in the morning. They call him the Trickster, and he certainly lived up to the name. Put seawater in me porridge when I weren't looking. Tied me bootlaces together so I fell as soon as I took a step. And slipped eels under me blankets. Gave me a right proper scare when they started wriggling, I'll tell you. And all the time, I hears him laughing. Still makes me skin crawl just to think of it. For a whole week, Fizz haunted me. Drove me fairly to the brink of madness. What do you want, you little monster? I screams. But on that final night, I woke. I heard his webbed feet flapping on the floor. Slap, slap, slap. Closer he came, and closer. This is it, I thought. He's come to end me once and for all, and I hid myself under the covers. Slap, slap, slap went his cold, wet feet. And then silence. I lay there, cowering for what must have been an hour afore I dared peek. Slowly I reaches out, lights the lamp, and do you know what happened next? Nothing.
Aww.
Aye, Fizz were gone at long last. But he left something for me on the wooden box beside my bed. A coin. A gold kraken, no less. This coin here, in fact. Look with your eyes, not with your hands. That's my lucky kraken, you know. But I tell you, rather than make me happy, for I hadn't a penny to my name back then, the sight of that coin filled me with dread. 'Cause this were the very coin that our captain swore he tossed into the ocean on our way out of port. That was his offering to the bearded lady for safe passage, but the Tidal Trickster took it. That was the reason our ship had sunk. That playful, hateful little imp, he doomed the whole crew, and done it with a wicked, fishy grin on his face. So, I tell you little sprats now, pray you never encounter him, 'cause while he might seem all fun and games, let me tell you now, he ain't. Now, off to bed with you, and pray you don't see no little wet footprints on the floorboards when you wake.
And that was the full story of Fizz. This pretty much confirms that Riot already knows how to implement the Yordles into the new universe. We now know that Yordles can be both landwalkers and they can live under the water. And they seem to behave just like any other race, even though they are supposed to have heavy connections to the spirit realm. But that's going to be it for today. So if you like this video, feel free to rate it and subscribe for more lore and news. If you'd like to chat, our social media, Twitch, merch and P.O.Box will be in the description. Of course, massive shout out to our patrons for going the extra mile, you guys are remarkable. And with that, thank you all so much for being here and for your support, I really appreciate it. And as always, thank you come again.